The message came through on every channel at once. Admiral Eugen sat in his command chair aboard the TCS Horizon's edge, watching the alien face fill his main screen. The creature had 4 eyes arranged in a square pattern, and its skin looked like polished blue metal. When it spoke, the translation software turned its words into flat, emotionless sentences. Humans of Earth, you have entered space claimed by the Valkar Dominion. This is not permitted. You will come to Nexus Station. You will answer to the Imperial Tribunal. If you refuse, we will destroy your ships. You have 1 cycle to respond. The screen went dark. Eugen looked around his bridge. His crew stared back at him, waiting for orders. Captain Hana stood up from her station, her face showing concern but not fear. Well, Eugen said calmly. That was rude. Sir, Hana said. We're detecting movement. Long-range sensors show multiple fleets converging on our position. Looks like they want to make sure we understand they're serious. Eugen nodded slowly. He had expected something like this. Humanity had been expanding into space for 200 years now, setting up colonies on dozens of worlds. They knew other aliens were out here. The galaxy was full of intelligent life. But until now, nobody had tried to stop them. How many ships? Eugen asked. At least 50 in the immediate area, Hana replied. More arriving every hour. They're forming a containment pattern around us. Dr. Nari, the ship's chief science officer, walked over from her console. She was young for her position, but brilliant. She had studied every piece of information humanity had collected about alien civilizations. Now she would finally meet one face-to-face. Admiral, she said, I've been reviewing what we know about the Valkar Dominion. They control 847 star systems. They've been the dominant power in this region for 12,000 years. Every species they've encountered has either joined them willingly or been forced to submit. And now they want us to submit too, Eugen said. It wasn't a question. That appears to be the plan, Nari agreed. This tribunal they mentioned, it's basically a formality. We show up, they tell us the rules, we agree to follow them. If we don't agree, they use force. Has any species ever refused? Hana asked. Nari shook her head. Not according to their historical records. At least not successfully. Eugen stood up and walked to the main window. Outside, stars glittered in the darkness. Somewhere out there, alien warships were moving into position, ready to enforce the will of an empire that had ruled for longer than human civilization had existed. Send a response, Eugen said. Tell them we accept their invitation. We'll attend their tribunal. Hana's eyebrows went up. Sir, just like that? Just like that, Eugen confirmed. But make sure the message is polite. No need to be hostile. Yet the communications officer sent the message. Within minutes, a reply came back with coordinates and a travel schedule. The Valkar clearly had everything planned out. They were very organized, Eugen thought. That was good. Organized enemies were predictable. Plot a course to Nexus Station, Eugen ordered. Standard speed. No need to rush. As the ship's engines powered up, Commander Tejo appeared on the bridge. He was the chief engineer, a stocky man with permanent grease stains on his hands. He looked worried. Admiral, Tejo said, I heard about the message. Are we really going to walk into their trap? It's not a trap, Eugen replied. It's a negotiation. They just don't know it yet. The journey to Nexus Station took 5 days. During that time, Eugen watched as more and more Valkar ships appeared on his sensors. They weren't hiding. They wanted to be seen. It was a show of force meant to intimidate. Eugen was not intimidated. On the 3rd day, Hana came to his private quarters. She looked concerned. Eugen poured her a cup of coffee and waited for her to speak. Sir, she said finally, the crew is nervous. They see all these alien warships following us and they're asking questions. What do I tell them? Tell them the truth, Eugen said. We're going to negotiate with the Valkar Dominion. We're going to try to reach an understanding. And if we can't reach an understanding, Eugen smiled slightly, then we'll show them why humanity didn't ask for permission to expand into space. We just did it. Hana nodded slowly. She had served with Eugen for 15 years. She knew that tone. He had a plan. She just hoped it would work. On the 5th day, Nexus Station appeared on their screens. It was massive, a structure the size of a small moon. Thousands of ships orbited around it, from dozens of different species. The station glowed with artificial light, a beacon in the darkness of space. Impressive, Nari said softly. This must be the center of their empire. It's certainly big, Eugen agreed. But size isn't everything. The Valkar sent docking instructions. They wanted the human ships to park in a specific area, surrounded by warships on all sides. It was clearly a kill box, a position designed for quick destruction if things went wrong. "Take us in," Eugen ordered. "Park exactly where they tell us." The pilot's hands shook slightly as he guided the ship into position. All around them, Valkar warships turned their weapons toward the human fleet. There were 12 human ships in total. The Valkar had brought 3,000. Tejo came to the bridge one more time. "Admiral," he said quietly, "all systems are ready. Just give the word." "Not yet," Eugen replied. "First, we listen to what they have to say." Another message came through. The tribunal would convene in 1 hour. Admiral Eugen, Captain Hana, and Dr. Nari were requested to attend in person. The Valkar had assembled representatives from 47 different species to witness the proceedings. Eugen straightened his uniform. Hana checked her equipment. Nari gathered her data tablets. They walked to the shuttle bay together, none of them speaking. There was nothing left to say. Everything depended on the next few hours. As they boarded the shuttle, Tejo stopped Eugen with a hand on his arm. "Good luck, sir," the engineer said. Eugen smiled that same calm smile. "We don't need luck, Commander. We have something better." "What's that?" "Preparation." The shuttle detached from the horizon's edge and flew toward Nexus Station. Behind them, the human fleet waited in silence. Around them, 3,000 Valkar warships watched with weapons ready, and somewhere in the dark spaces between the stars, other human ships maintained perfect stealth, invisible and patient. The tribunal was about to begin. The Valkar thought they were in control. They thought this was just another species coming to bow before the Empire's might. They had no idea what humanity had prepared for this moment. They had no idea that they were not sitting in judgment over humans. They were sitting in a job interview, and they didn't even know it yet. The tribunal chamber was enormous. High Magistrate Velcros sat on a raised platform at the center, his 4 eyes gleaming in the artificial light. Around him, in circular tiers, sat representatives from 47 different alien species. Some had scales. Some had fur. Some were translucent. All of them watched the 3 humans walk to the center of the chamber. Eugen, Hana, and Nari stood in a small circle marked on the floor. Above them, holographic displays showed images of human colony worlds. The message was clear. The Valkar knew exactly where humanity had settled, and they could reach any of those worlds if they wanted to. Velcros spoke, and his voice echoed through the chamber. "Humans of Earth, you stand before the Imperial Tribunal of the Valkar Dominion. We have summoned you to answer for your crimes against the natural order of the galaxy." Eugen said nothing. He simply looked up at the magistrate with calm eyes. Velcros continued. "For 12,000 years, the Dominion has maintained peace and order in this region of space. All civilized species recognize our authority. All civilized species petition for permission before expanding into new territories. You did not petition. You did not ask. You simply took what you wanted." "That's correct," Eugen said quietly. A murmur ran through the assembled aliens. Apparently, most species denied the charges or begged for mercy. Simple agreement was unexpected. Velcros leaned forward. "You admit your violation of Dominion law?" "We admit that we didn't ask permission," Eugen replied. "But we don't recognize the authority of the Dominion over human affairs. We never agreed to your laws." The murmur grew louder. Several aliens stood up from their seats, clearly shocked by this defiance. Velcros raised one hand and silence fell immediately. "Your recognition is not required," he said coldly. "The Dominion's authority exists whether you acknowledge it or not. This is the way of the galaxy. The strong rule. The weak submit. This has been true since before your species learned to make fire." "Interesting philosophy," Eugen said. "Tell me, High Magistrate, how long has it been since the Dominion fought a real war?" Velcros blinked his 4 eyes in sequence. "War is unnecessary when all recognize the inevitable. The last conflict ended 4,000 years ago." 4,000 years, Eugen repeated. "And in that time, have you updated your military technology?" "Our weapons are more than sufficient," Velcros said, his voice becoming sharp. as you will discover if you continue this pointless defiance. Eugen nodded slowly. Then he gestured to Dr. Nari. High Magistrate, if you'll permit, my science officer would like to present some information. It's relevant to these proceedings. Velcros looked suspicious but curious. Proceed. Nari stepped forward and activated her data tablet. Holographic displays appeared in the air around her, showing technical readouts and comparative analyses. She spoke clearly, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. We've studied your civilization, High Magistrate. Your empire is impressive in its scope and longevity. 847 star systems, 12,000 years of continuous rule. These are remarkable achievements. She paused, letting the compliment sink in. Then she continued. But there's a problem. Your technology hasn't changed in all that time. Your warships use the same engine designs they did 8,000 years ago. Your weapons operate on the same principles. Your tactics are identical to those recorded in your oldest military archives. Our technology is proven, Velcro said stiffly. Why change what works? Because stagnation is death, Nari replied simply. Every species in this chamber was conquered by the Dominion while they were still primitive. You crushed them before they could develop advanced technology. You've been fighting children for 4,000 years. You've forgotten what it's like to face an equal. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Multiple species representatives shouted protests. Velcross slammed his hand on his desk, and the sound echoed like thunder. Silence returned, but the atmosphere had changed. The aliens were no longer just watching, they were angry. You dare insult the Dominion? Velcro said, his voice low and dangerous. You come here surrounded by our fleets and you insult us? I'm not insulting you, Nari said. I'm stating facts. Your empire has no external threats, no competition, no pressure to innovate. You've been coasting on your ancestors' achievements for millennia, and now you've encountered something new. What makes you think you're different? Velcros demanded. Captain Hana stepped forward now, standing beside Nari. When she spoke, her voice was hard. Because we didn't develop in a safe galaxy. We developed alone. For billions of years, Earth tried to kill us. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, diseases, predators. We survived because we adapted or we died. Then we nearly killed ourselves, Hana continued. World wars, nuclear weapons, environmental collapse. We came within years of extinction multiple times. But we survived. We learned, we changed. And when we finally reached space, we brought all those lessons with us. A touching story, Velcro said dismissively. But irrelevant. You have 12 ships. We have 3,000. Your history means nothing against such numbers. Eugen smiled then, and it was not a friendly expression. High Magistrate, you summoned us here to force our submission, to make us another client species in your empire. Is that correct? That is the only option we're offering, Velcros confirmed. Then I have a counter-proposal, Eugen said. The Dominion removes all restrictions on human expansion. In exchange, we provide you with technological upgrades and military training. We help you modernize your forces. The chamber fell completely silent. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Velcros began to laugh. It was a harsh barking sound. You offer to help us? Velcros said between laughs. You who are surrounded by our fleets? You who have no choice but to obey? You offer to help the Dominion? Yes, Eugen said calmly, because you're going to need help. Something is coming, High Magistrate. Something that makes your Dominion look weak. Something that makes us look weak. And neither of us can face it alone. Velcros stopped laughing. What are you talking about? Later, Eugen said. First, you need to understand your current situation. You think you're in control here. You think your 3,000 ships give you absolute power. Captain Hana, would you please educate the High Magistrate? Hana touched her wrist communicator. Commander Taiho, are you ready? Taiho's voice came through, calm and professional. All systems ready, Captain. Awaiting your order. Hana looked up at Velcros. High Magistrate, you're about to learn why humanity didn't ask for permission. Why we weren't worried about your ultimatum. Why we're standing here surrounded by your fleets and we're not afraid. Enough talk, Velcro snapped. He gestured to the guards at the chamber doors. Arrest them. We will discuss their execution later. The guards moved forward, weapons raised. But before they could reach the humans, every alarm in Nexus Station began to scream. Lights flashed red. Holographic displays throughout the chamber flickered and changed, showing something impossible. 300 human warships had appeared inside the Nexus system. They hadn't jumped in from hyperspace. They hadn't been detected approaching. They had simply appeared, as if they'd been there all along. Which of course they had. Velcro stared at the displays, his 4 eyes wide with shock. Impossible, he whispered. Our sensors would have detected them. Our entire defensive network, we would have seen them. You didn't, Eugen said quietly. Your sensors haven't been updated in 4,000 years. They were looking for ships using technology you understand. We're using technology you've never imagined. Hana smiled coldly. Commander Taiho, please demonstrate our capabilities to the High Magistrate. Target the 3rd moon, single shot, minimum power. Acknowledged, Taiho replied. Firing now. On every display in the tribunal chamber, the aliens watched as one small human destroyer fired a single weapon. There was no beam of light, no explosion. The moon simply collapsed inward, crushed into a point smaller than an atom, and then vanished. Where a celestial body had existed seconds before, there was now only empty space. The silence in the tribunal chamber was absolute. Every alien present stared at the display showing where the moon had been. Some of them were shaking. Others had collapsed into their seats. A few had fainted entirely. High Magistrate Velcros looked like he had aged 100 years in the past minute. His blue skin had turned pale, almost gray. When he spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. What was that weapon? He asked. Dr. Nari answered, her voice still calm and professional. A compressed gravitational singularity. Essentially an artificial black hole. What you saw was fired at 0.3% of maximum power. At full strength, that weapon could destroy a planet. And you have more of these? Velcros asked, though he clearly already knew the answer. 6,000 of them, Nari confirmed. Distributed across the Terran fleet. That's just one weapon system. We also have relativistic kinetic impactors, antimatter torpedoes, quantum disruption missiles, and AI-guided hunter-killer drones. Those are our conventional weapons. Captain Hana brought up new displays showing tactical projections. Our analysis indicates that your 3rd fleet would last approximately 18 minutes in direct combat with our forces. Your defensive stations would fall in under an hour. We could neutralize every military installation in the Nexus system within 3 hours. She paused, letting that information settle. Then she added, but we're not going to do any of that. Velcros looked up sharply. Why not? If you can destroy us so easily, why negotiate at all? Admiral Eugen stepped forward again. Because we don't want to destroy you, High Magistrate. We need you, and whether you realize it yet or not, you need us too. He gestured to Nari, who brought up a new set of images. These weren't tactical displays or weapon schematics. They were star charts, showing vast regions of space. 20 years ago, Eugen began, humanity sent long-range exploration probes to the galactic rim. We wanted to know what was out there beyond known space. What we found terrified us. The star charts changed, showing dark zones marked in red. Velcros leaned forward, studying the images. These are dead sectors, Nari explained. Regions of space where civilizations used to exist. We know because we can detect ancient ruins, abandoned cities, empty stations. But there are no active signals. No radio transmissions. No electromagnetic activity. No life signs. Just silence. Civilizations die, Velcro said, but his voice was uncertain. They collapse from internal problems, war, disease, environmental catastrophe. That's what we thought at first, Eugen agreed. But then we found 17 of these dead zones, all of them showing the same pattern, sudden cessation of all activity. No distress signals, no evidence of civil war or gradual decline. Everything just stopped. Hana brought up more data. We sent stealth probes to investigate. What we found in one system was a fleet, or what remained of a fleet. Thousands of warships all destroyed. The damage patterns were unlike anything in our database. These ships weren't just defeated. They were annihilated. Some of them were turned inside out at the molecular level. The displays showed images of twisted metal and impossible geometries, ships that looked like they had been folded through dimensions that shouldn't exist. We call them the Silence, Eugen said quietly, because that's what they leave behind. Absolute silence. We don't know what they are. We don't know where they come from. But we know they're real and we know they're coming. Velcro stood up slowly. Around the chamber, the other aliens were murmuring to each other, their earlier anger replaced by fear. How long? Velcros asked. How long until they reach Dominion space? 42 years, Nari replied. Give or take a few months. Their fleet is massive. Millions of vessels. Their technology makes ours look primitive. The same way our technology makes yours look primitive. Velcro sat back down heavily. And you want us to help you fight them? Not just fight, Eugen corrected. Survive. Your current military capacity would last about 6 weeks against the Silence. Maybe less, but you have something we need. What could we possibly have that you need? Velcros asked bitterly. You've made it clear that your technology is superior in every way. Infrastructure, Hana answered immediately. Industrial capacity, population. You control 847 star systems. You have billions of people across dozens of species. You have factories, shipyards, resource extraction operations. You have an established economy and supply chains. Humanity has been expanding for 200 years, Eugen continued. We have advanced technology, but we're spread thin. We have 37 colony worlds and maybe 3 billion people total. We can build the weapons, but we don't have enough hands to crew the ships or enough factories to build them in the numbers we need. Nari nodded. Together we have a chance. You provide the industrial base and manpower. We provide the technological upgrades and tactical expertise. We transform the Dominion from a static empire into a military alliance capable of fighting the Silence. And if we refuse? Velcros asked. Eugen's expression was grave. Then in 42 years the Silence arrives. They destroy the Dominion. Every world. Every station. Every ship. 847 star systems filled with corpses. A few years after that, they reach human space. We fight alone and we probably lose, but at least we tried. You're asking us to give up our authority, Velcro said slowly, to become equals with species we have ruled for thousands of years. To accept human leadership, our entire civilization would have to change. Yes, Eugen agreed simply. It's not a small thing. It's not easy. But it's necessary. The alternative is extinction, Hana added more gently. We're not asking you to become our subjects, High Magistrate. We're offering a partnership. Real cooperation between equals. Your people have knowledge and experience humanity lacks. You've governed a multi-species empire for millennia. We've barely left our home system. We need your expertise as much as you need our technology. Velcros looked around the chamber at the assembled representatives. They looked back at him, waiting for his decision. Some looked hopeful. Others looked terrified. All of them understood that nothing would ever be the same after this moment. I need to consult with the Dominion Council, Velcro said finally. This is not a decision I can make alone. We will need time. Take 3 weeks, Eugen said. After that, we need an answer. The clock is ticking and we have a lot of work to do. And if the Council refuses? Velcros asked. What then? Eugen's expression was sad. Then we leave. We continue building our own defenses. We prepare to fight alone, and 42 years from now we'll face the Silence knowing we tried to save you. That will have to be enough. The human delegation turned to leave. As they walked toward the exit, Velcros called out, Admiral Eugen, why did you really come here? You could have hidden from us. You could have prepared your defenses in secret. Why reveal yourselves now? Eugen turned back. Because every species that faced the Silence alone is dead now. Every single one. The only way to survive is together. We need to start building that alliance now, not in 40 years when it's too late. He paused, then added, and because despite everything, we believe the Dominion is worth saving. You've maintained peace for 12,000 years. That matters. You've built something that spans hundreds of star systems. That's an achievement humanity respects. We just need you to adapt, to evolve, to remember that empires which cannot change are empires that die. The 3 humans left the chamber. Behind them, High Magistrate Velcro sat in silence, staring at the star chart showing the approach of the Silence. Around him, the representatives of 47 species waited to see what decision would shape the future of the galaxy. The next 3 weeks were chaos. The Dominion Council met in emergency session almost constantly. News of the silence spread through every system, carried by the species representatives who had witnessed the tribunal. Some of the client species saw this as an opportunity for freedom. Others panicked at the thought of a threat even greater than the Dominion. The human fleet remained at Nexus Station, maintaining their defensive positions. Commander Taiho worked day and night with Dominion engineers who wanted to understand human technology. At first, the Valkar engineers were skeptical and proud, but when Taiho showed them the actual specifications, their attitudes changed quickly. "This drive system," one engineer said, staring at the holographic blueprints. "It shouldn't be possible. The energy requirements alone would require a star's output. We use quantum vacuum extraction," Taiho explained patiently. "We pull energy directly from space itself. It's efficient and nearly limitless once you solve the containment problem." "And you solved that problem?" 30 years ago, Taiho confirmed. "It took us 40 years before that to figure it out. Lost 3 research stations and about 200 scientists in the early experiments. But we learned." The Valkyr engineer was quiet for a moment. Then he asked, "Why are you showing us this? If we were in your position, we would keep such technology secret. We would use it to dominate others." Taiho smiled sadly. "That's exactly why the Dominion stagnated. Domination doesn't create progress. Competition does. Challenge does. Need does. We're showing you because we need you to survive, and survival requires cooperation." Meanwhile, Captain Hana met with military commanders from various client species. Some were eager to learn human tactics. Others resented the implication that their traditional methods were obsolete. One commander, a 4-armed creature named Grikash, challenged her directly. "You humans think you know everything about warfare, but you've never faced the full might of the Dominion in battle. You've never been tested." Hana looked at him calmly. "You're right. We've never fought the Dominion. But we fought ourselves. For thousands of years, humans killed each other with increasing efficiency. We developed weapons that could wipe out entire cities in seconds. We nearly destroyed our own planet multiple times. We know war, Commander. We just know it differently than you do." "Different how?" "You fight to conquer," Hana explained. "To demonstrate superiority. To force submission. Those are political goals. We fought to survive, to completely eliminate threats, to ensure the enemy could never rise again. Those are existential goals. When survival is at stake, you fight differently. You innovate faster. You take risks that seem insane. You do whatever is necessary." Grikash considered this. "And the silence. They fight for survival too?" "We don't know what they fight for," Hana admitted. "That's what makes them so dangerous. We don't understand their motivations. We just know they're thorough. They don't leave survivors." Dr. Nari spent her time working with representatives from the client species, helping them understand the cultural changes that would be necessary. This was perhaps the hardest task of all. "You're asking us to forget thousands of years of tradition," one representative said, "to treat our former masters as equals. How is that possible?" "It's not about forgetting," Nari replied gently. "It's about adapting. Your traditions helped you survive under Dominion rule. Now you need new traditions to help you survive what's coming. The past matters, but the future matters more." On the 18th day, there was an incident. A hardline Dominion admiral named Corthan decided that humanity's presence was an insult that could not be tolerated. He gathered a loyalist force of 30 warships and launched a surprise attack on the human fleet. The attack lasted exactly 47 seconds. Human point defense systems tracked every incoming missile and energy beam. Countermeasures deployed automatically. 30 Dominion warships were disabled without a single shot reaching a human vessel. Not destroyed. Eugen had been clear about that. Just disabled. Their weapon systems fused. Their engines shut down. Their crews unharmed but helpless. Eugen personally contacted Admiral Corthan afterwards. The Dominion admiral expected death or imprisonment. Instead, Eugen spoke calmly. "Admiral Corthan, I understand your anger. You see us as a threat to everything you've known. Your loyalty to the Dominion is admirable, but your species is going to need that loyalty in 42 years. Don't waste it fighting the wrong enemy." Corthan's voice was bitter when he replied, "You humiliate us. You demonstrate our weakness, and you call it mercy." "It is mercy," Eugen said firmly. "We could have destroyed your ships and killed your crews. We didn't. Because we need brave warriors like you alive when the silence arrives. Your bravery isn't in question, Admiral. Just redirect it toward the real threat. The incident had an unexpected effect on the Dominion Council. Corthan's failure, and Eugen's response, convinced many wavering members that cooperation was not just preferable but necessary. If humanity could so easily defeat an attack while showing restraint, what hope did the Dominion have of forcing compliance through military action? On the 21st day, High Magistrate Velcros requested a private meeting with the human delegation. This time there was no tribunal chamber, no audience. Just Velcros and the three humans in a simple conference room. Velcros looked tired. His blue skin had developed a dull sheen and his 4 eyes were bloodshot. He gestured for them to sit. "I have spent 3 weeks arguing with the council," he said without preamble. "Half of them want to accept your offer immediately. A quarter want to fight you regardless of the cost. The rest are paralyzed by fear of the silence and cannot make any decision at all." "And you, High Magistrate?" Eugen asked. "What do you want?" Velcros was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was thoughtful. "I have ruled for 40 years. My family has served the Dominion for 300 generations. We have maintained order, prevented chaos, protected the weak from the strong, or so we told ourselves." He looked directly at Eugen. "Your arrival has forced me to question everything. We did not protect the weak. We crushed them before they could become strong. We did not maintain order. We enforced stagnation. We have been the caretakers of a museum, not the leaders of a living civilization." "Change is painful," Dr. Nari said gently. "Earth went through similar realizations multiple times in our history. It's never easy to see your civilization clearly, but necessary," Velcros agreed. "I will support your proposal. I will use whatever political influence I have to convince the council. But I have a request, and what do you need?" Eugen asked. "When the silence comes," Velcros said slowly, "humanity must lead the defense. You have earned that right through superior capability, but help us become true partners, not just subjects with better weapons. Help us build something worth defending." Captain Hana leaned forward. "That's exactly what we want, High Magistrate. An alliance of equals. Your people have skills and knowledge humanity lacks. You've governed multiple species for millennia. You understand large-scale administration and logistics in ways we're still learning. We need that expertise." "Then we have an agreement," Velcros said. "I will present the proposal to the full council tomorrow. With my support, it should pass. Though there will be opposition." "There's always opposition to change," Eugen said. "But the alternative is worse. Far worse." The next day, the Dominion Council met in full session. The debate lasted for 14 hours. Arguments were fierce. Several councilors resigned in protest. Others pledged their complete support. In the end, the vote was not unanimous, but it was decisive. The Valkar Dominion would dissolve. In its place, the Allied Systems Compact would be established, a true coalition of equals, dedicated to the common defense against the silence. Humanity would provide technological advancement and tactical leadership. The former Dominion species would contribute their industrial capacity, population, and organizational expertise. When Velcros delivered the news to Admiral Eugen, the human smiled that same calm smile he had worn from the beginning. "Thank you, High Magistrate," Eugen said. "You've given the galaxy a fighting chance." "Now comes the hard part," Velcros replied. "We have 42 years to transform an empire into an alliance, to modernize our technology, to train our forces, to prepare for a war unlike anything the galaxy has seen. I hope it's enough time." 41 years later, the galaxy was unrecognizable. The Allied Systems Compact now controlled 1-2-47 star systems. What had once been the Valkar Dominion's rigid hierarchy had transformed into a dynamic network of cooperating civilizations. Joint shipyards orbited dozens of worlds, building vessels that combined human innovation with Dominion engineering traditions. Admiral Eugen stood on the bridge of the ASC Defiance, the flagship of the Alliance fleet. His hair had turned gray and lines marked his face, but his eyes were still sharp, still calm. Beside him, Captain Hana reviewed tactical displays. She too had aged, but her movements remained quick and precise. "Status report," Eugen ordered. "All defensive positions are manned," Hana replied. "We have 18,000 warships along the galactic rim. Another 5,000 in reserve positions. Ground installations are at full readiness. Civilian populations have been evacuated from the outer sectors. Commander Tejo appeared on a secondary screen. He was older now, his hair completely white, but his mind was as sharp as ever. Engineering Corps standing by. We have repair facilities at every major junction. Supply lines are established. Power generation is at maximum capacity. Dr. Nari, now the Alliance's chief strategic advisor, studied sensor data. Long-range scanners are picking up gravitational distortions. They're close now, maybe 3 hours until first contact. High Magistrate Velcros, now serving as civilian coordinator of Alliance logistics, contacted from the command station. His blue skin had dulled with age, but his voice was steady. All supply chains are functioning. Medical facilities are prepared. Refugee systems are ready to receive any evacuees. The Alliance stands ready, Admiral. Eugen nodded. 41 years of preparation had led to this moment. Thousands of scientists working together, millions of soldiers training side by side, entire civilizations learning to trust each other. It had been difficult. There had been setbacks and disagreements, but they had persevered. All ships, this is Admiral Eugen, he broadcast on the fleet-wide channel. The moment we've prepared for is here. The silence is approaching, but we are not the scattered civilizations they've encountered before. We are united, we are prepared, and we are ready to show them that this part of the galaxy will not fall quietly. Thousands of voices acknowledged the message. Human crews, Valkar crews, species from across the Alliance all working together. Eugen felt a moment of pride. Whatever happened next, they had built something remarkable. The sensors began screaming alerts. Dr. Nari's hands moved quickly across her console. They're here, emerging from hyperspace at the edge of the system, counting. Thousands. No, hundreds of thousands. The numbers are still climbing. On the main display, the Silence Fleet appeared. The vessels were enormous, each one larger than anything the Alliance had built. Their hulls were black, seeming to absorb light rather than reflect it. Strange geometries covered their surfaces, shapes that hurt to look at directly. Energy readings are off the scale, Nari reported. Their weapon systems are active. Whatever technology they're using, it's beyond our current understanding. Can we communicate with them? Eugene asked. We're trying every frequency, every protocol, the communications officer said. No response. They're not even acknowledging our attempts. The Silence Fleet began moving forward in perfect formation. They weren't charging. They weren't rushing. They simply advanced with the confidence of a force that had never been defeated. All weapons charged to full power, Hana ordered. Prepare to engage on my mark. Throughout the Alliance fleet, weapon systems came online. Gravitational singularity generators hummed with barely contained power. Antimatter torpedoes armed themselves. Point defense grids calculated firing solutions. Every ship, every station, every fortification prepared for battle. The Silence Fleet stopped just outside weapon range. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, without warning, they opened fire. The first salvo was devastating. Beams of energy that shouldn't exist tore through space. Alliance shields designed to withstand any known weapon barely held. 3 destroyers on the outer edge were destroyed instantly, their crews never knowing what killed them. Return fire, Eugen commanded. The Alliance fleet responded. Thousands of weapons fired at once. Gravitational weapons tore at the fabric of space. Relativistic projectiles moved at near-light speeds. Antimatter explosions lit up the darkness. The coordinated barrage was the most powerful attack ever unleashed by any civilization in this galaxy. The Silence ships absorbed the hits. Their shields flickered but held. They continued advancing. They're stronger than we estimated, Nari said, her voice tight with concern. Then we adapt, Eugen replied calmly. Commander Taiho, implement Protocol 7. All ships switch to rotating fire patterns. Target their shield generators, not their hulls. The Alliance fleet adjusted its tactics. Instead of overwhelming firepower, they used precision strikes. Human ships identified weak points. Valkar vessels provided covering fire. Other species contributed their unique capabilities. The Alliance fought as one organism, each part supporting the others. Slowly, the tide began to turn. The first Silence ship took critical damage and began to drift. Then another. The enemy's advance slowed. They had expected easy prey. Instead, they found organized resistance. They're recalculating, Dr. Nari observed. Their formations are changing. They're adapting to our tactics. Good, Hana said grimly. That means they recognize us as a threat. They're taking us seriously. The battle continued for hours. Ships on both sides were destroyed. The Alliance lost vessels, but they gave as good as they got. For every Alliance ship destroyed, they took down 2 enemy vessels. The numbers slowly shifted in their favor. Admiral Corthan, the same Dominion officer who had attacked the humans 41 years ago, commanded a strike force on the left flank. His voice came through the command channel. Admiral Yujin, we've identified a vulnerability in their command ship's shield matrix. Requesting permission to attempt a direct assault. Granted, Yujin replied. Good hunting, Admiral Corthan. Corthan's force drove forward, pushing through intense fire. His flagship took heavy damage, but he pressed on. At the last moment, he fired every weapon simultaneously at the identified weak point. The enemy command ship's shields collapsed. Follow-up fire from Alliance vessels finished the job. Without their command vessel, the Silence fleet hesitated. Just for a moment, but it was enough. The Alliance pressed their advantage, concentrating fire on the disrupted formations. Enemy ships began to fall back. They're withdrawing, Nari reported, disbelief in her voice. The Silence is retreating. Yujin watched as the massive enemy fleet pulled back beyond weapon range. They didn't flee in panic. They withdrew in perfect order, regrouping for another assault. But they had withdrawn. That alone was a victory. Status report, Yujin ordered. We've lost 892 ships, Hana reported. Another 400 with significant damage. But we destroyed or disabled over 2,000 enemy vessels. They're hurt. High Magistrate Velcros contacted from the command station. Admiral, we're detecting something. The Silence fleet is sending a transmission. First time they've communicated. Let me hear it, Yujin said. The transmission was strange, consisting of mathematical patterns and energy pulses. Dr. Nari worked quickly to translate it. When she finished, her expression was thoughtful. They're requesting negotiations, Nari said slowly. They want to understand what we are, how we defeated them. They've never encountered organized resistance before. Yujin looked at his crew. Hana was exhausted but alert. Nari was already analyzing the implications. Teho appeared on the screen, ready to implement whatever decision was made. In other displays, officers from dozens of species waited for orders. We talk, Yujin decided. We didn't build this alliance just to fight. We built it to survive. If there's a chance for peace, we take it. And if they attack again? Hana asked. Yujin smiled, that same calm smile from 41 years ago. Then we show them why civilizations that learn to cooperate are stronger than civilizations that only know how to conquer. He opened a channel to the entire Alliance fleet. All ships maintain defensive positions but hold fire unless attacked. We're about to do something that hasn't been done in this galaxy for a very long time. We're going to turn an enemy into a neighbor. High Magistrate Velcro spoke up. Admiral, 41 years ago you came to our tribunal. We thought we were judging you. Instead you judged us and found us wanting. But you didn't destroy us. You helped us become better. Perhaps the Silence needs the same lesson. Perhaps they do, Yujin agreed. Prepare a delegation. Let's see if we can teach an old enemy some new tricks. As the Alliance prepared to meet with the Silence, Yujin looked out at the stars. 41 years of preparation. Thousands of lives lost in battle. But they had survived. More than that, they had proven something important. Unity was stronger than domination. Cooperation was more powerful than conquest. And civilizations that learned to work together could face any threat, no matter how overwhelming it seemed. The galaxy was changing. The old order was gone, replaced by something new, something better. And humanity, the species that had entered the galactic stage so recently, had shown them all the way forward. Not through superior weapons, though they had those. Not through larger numbers, though they had gained those too.